Say something illegal.
No. Alright, it is the 8th of June 2020 and we are staring Sean, Alan, Matthew, John Paul.
Adding names to me now.
Wait, I will let this. Sean, Alan, John Paul.
Benedict
Thrift.
Cumberbatch.
No.
You
No.
have more name than the Queen by the end of this semester.
Alright, fine. Just thrifty, okay?
Yeah. Little thrift.
It's the 9th? It's the 9th of June, I'm sorry. Wait, really?
One more minute.
I've been
One more minute.
Alright. This is the do now, by the way.
Sir, do you have a spare blue pen?
Huh.
Oh my
Mike is on your side. That just fell off my pocket.
God.
So our hands are allowed in it, right?
She gave me her early pen that worked, and then none of the ones she was going to use worked. That's so sad.
You know,
Got it.
Regicide. How is that punishable?
Work.
It's just like murder, but for a bigger person.
I mean, what's the actual punishment for it?
It has literally no name. How is this working?
Essentially, treachery.
It's high treason.
I treason.
But it's high treason by a different name. Regicide, if you're going by the old punishments, high treason is basically, if you're going by the English method, you get drawn and quartered, which is basically they stretch out all of your limbs and then cut them off one by one. So that happens.
wait,
What does that say?
in modern day?
Not in modern day, no. God, no.
What happens now for high treason?
For high treason, well, the death penalty in the British system is gone. The only time you can sort of get a death penalty in the British system, if it's during a martial court, so military court, and in extreme conditions where your survival would be more dangerous to the state than you being in prison.
So if I was public enemy number one, I just shot the Queen in the head. I mean, definitely.
You go to jail.
I mean, that's
If
it.
there was an opportunity to capture you without your death, then that is what would happen. They would capture you. But if they deemed that you were too dangerous to be left alive, it's sort of like Bin Laden in certain cases. You know, Bin Laden should have been brought in alive, but due to the extenuating circumstances, he was killed in the process of capturing him.
Good.
So technically, if I commit identity theft, the most, evil, ruthless person in the world, and then killed the Queen, I could essentially get a death penalty. Oh boys, oh boys.
I don't get the logic behind that.
It's a very strange and twisted logic to be
Good
sure.
work, good work.
Alright, so our do now today was, how do politicians try to affect or change the way their image is seen in public? Flynn?
Propaganda?
Propaganda, okay?
So stay at the board, yeah?
Yeah, propaganda. What else?
Corporate thing?
Appealing to the people.
Appealing to the people. Now, Vivian,
Yeah.
I want you to think about this one. How might they appeal to the people?
Doing stuff that will benefit people. So lowering tax, giving them money, entertainment, upping Medicare, if it existed back then.
It wouldn't.
It didn't.
There'd be some ancient equivalent.
I think even if Medicare existed, you wouldn't want doctors.
Pleasing the people, Sarah?
Making a big chunky building that everyone looks at every day so that their name is engraved in their mind.
Public monuments or grand works, yes?
Censorship of critics.
Censorship of critics, well done. Yes?
Didn't a lot of them try to host like public entertainment events?
And public entertainment, which we know is a really big one in Rome. Now, can anybody tell me the group of people that were responsible for public entertainment in Rome?
Yes.
What was it? The Adels. Okay, Aediles, the Aediles, which was a senatorial position. Okay, now all of these are ways that politicians can try and effectively change the way that they're seen in the public. Okay, and it's important to say that all of these were done by Augustus, and all of them are still done today. Okay, so this is applicable for the modern world. Okay, they're still doing this. Now, the mediums might have changed, okay, the way in which we convey that opinion or information. For example, what do our politicians have access to now that ancient ones didn't?
Social media.
Social media.
Better murder weapons.
But better murder weapons, yeah, sure.
Sorry, this is sort of off the thing. Can I add one?
Yeah, go for it.
Making your opponents just look a little bit worse than themselves.
Contrast of opposition. So not particularly making yourself look great, just making yourself look better than the other guy at the very least. Okay? So we have access now for our politicians, social media, radio, mass media, okay, televisions, not to mention even just the humble letterbox, okay, is 10 times faster than what it was in the ancient world. Okay? So our politicians nowadays could spread their message far wider than what was previously done. Now, our politicians also rely on something else that the ancients didn't really have. Does anybody want to guess what it is? It's an ability.
Oh, the military.
No, not so much that. It's the average everyday person's ability.
Free
Almost
speech.
everyone has it in Australia, not free speech.
Money. The ability to vote.
Ability to, nah, I mean, they're definitely relying on that because that's how they're going to get into power in our country.
Confidence?
No, the ability to read.
Oh, yeah.
But remember, very few people had that in the ancient world. So people in the ancient world, if you're trying to portray yourself as a magnificent person, there's no use writing a book, is there?
Well, I mean, that would.
Town crier.
Your book might be popular amongst the elites that could read, and that might be your way to sort of persuade them.
I mean, it could be like, oh, do you want someone tonight? I've literally written a book. Sure, it's about the ABCs, but I've written something.
Yeah. If you're in the ancient world, okay, what do you think is going to be the main medium that you're going to be using to sort of say, I'm great?
Town speakers.
Town speakers, auditory, public speeches, yeah, absolutely. But artwork,
Yes.
okay, statues and artwork, okay?
Statue up.
Because you don't need to be able to read what is happening in that statue, you just need to see it and know that it's impressive.
Did they have family?
Honestly, ancient artwork.
Family crests during this time, not really. That's more of a medieval thing.
I should have been born.
You might have
medieval.
family symbols, but not something like you'd see in feudal times. Okay? Now, last lesson, I asked you to go through your timelines. Okay? And I asked you to highlight what you consider the 7 most important events. Okay? And then I asked you to put 1 letter or 2 letters of terms next to each one of those events. Okay? And then I believe there was also another bit on the end of that, wasn't
There
there?
was a pill, but he said not to do it.
Yeah, don't worry about the pill. Okay? So put your hands up if you at least read through the timeline. Good. Hands still up if you've done your highlighting. And hands still up if you did your perm stuff. It's an alright number. Okay, good. Alright. I know you didn't do the highlighting, but let's just say you did. Okay? What was a really important event for you there?
When he like made the alliance with Mark Antony.
Can you give me the name of that alliance? Very, very close. Triumvirate. Triumvirate, okay? So, Mantage is saying that when Antony made the when Octavian made the triumvirate with Antony and Lepidus, this was an incredibly important event in Augustus's life. Something that makes him significant. Okay? What are you putting that under for perms?
Political.
Absolutely. Could we also put something underneath there as well? Yeah, military, because they're combining their military strengths together. Okay, absolutely. Maeve, give me one of your events.
Sorry.
It's got 7, but she doesn't know which one to choose from. Anyone's fine, dear. You just have to say why it's important that you think it is.
I think I did the closed doors of the temple.
All right.
Because he had so much power that there was only once in Roman history where something like that happened.
Do you remember the name of the temple?
It's in front of me. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
How is it spelled?
Janus.
Janus. Okay. Now, at one point, Augustus is able to close the temple doors of Janus. The reason why this is important, I believe you might have seen it in your timeline as well, is when Rome is at war, the doors of the temple are open. When it is closed, Rome is at peace. As you might imagine, those temple doors are not closed very often. When Augustus closes it, he's basically able to say, I have brought peace to the empire. Do you remember what Roman peace is?
Really rare.
There's a Latin word for it. What's the Roman word for peace? The Latin word? Pax. Pax Romanus or Pax Romana. Okay, Roman peace. Okay? You can also see peace spelled like this. Pace. Okay? Which is where we get our thing RIP, rest in peace. It's a derivative from requiescat in pace. Okay? Rest
Spanish.
in peace.
Sounds Spanish.
Well, that's because Spanish is a derivative of Latin.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay? Yeah. Pretty much all the European languages are derivatives of Latin, except for German. And partially our own, because ours is partially German as well. But we're also, the word is bastardized, meaning two different or mongrels. Okay? So, Temple of Janus, Maeve. What are you counting under for perms?
Military.
Not so much military in this one. Okay, because it's not so much to do with the military.
Political.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's political.
And religious.
Absolutely religious. Okay, because it involves the temples and things like that. I would also actually put it under social as well, because you're basically saying to the people, I've brought peace to our society. Okay? Zeta, dear, did you highlight any? Did you see any important events?
Caesar being seen as a god.
Nicely done. Okay? What year is that, honey?
42 BC.
42 BCE. Okay? So let's go down to that. Boom, 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 boom. Here we are. The Senate deemed Julius Caesar as having been a god. This enhanced Octavian's status still further. Okay?
Is this because he claimed he was Aphrodite's grandson?
Yes. Okay? But also, just because Caesar himself was so significant, they decided to, the word is deify, meaning to make a god. Okay? Ooh, I hope I can spell this right. Deify. Okay? I think that might be spelled wrong, but I'll check that up later.
Divide, wouldn't I?
Okay?
Sorry, what one was it? I can't find it.
So 42 BCE, the Senate deemed Julius Caesar as having been a god. This enhanced Octavian's status still further. Zeta, make me even more proud. Can you tell me what letters of perms it might be?
Political and religious.
Nailed it, 100% perfect. Well done, okay? It's religious, of course, because it involves the gods and things like that. Okay? And it's political because basically Octavian is using the religion to enhance his political power. Okay? if you haven't read through it yet, read it. If you haven't highlighted it yet, highlight and then do the perms as well. Okay? What this exercise actually is, it's a very useful tool in analysing personalities. Okay? And you've got to be able to analyse every single thing in ancient and go and basically, is it perms? Now it's not always just one letter. Sometimes you can get special events that cover all the letters. Okay? But you want to try and be able to break it down and also be able to explain this is why it's political. This is why it's religious. Alright? So, what we are starting on today, better rub that out because that would help. Okay? Is we are starting to look at specific oh god, I lost English for a second. Artifacts relating to Augustus and how it displays his power and image.
Wouldn't those be temples and statues of him?
Beg your pardon?
Wouldn't that just be statues of him and temples and whatnot?
Statues, temples, but also far superior things as well.
So did he slap his name on the building?
Didn't he slap? He slapped his name on almost every building.
Okay.
Didn't he restore like 82 temples a year or something?
That's right. Massive temple. We're basically going to be looking at the most famous examples. Obviously, we're not going to have time to go through all 82 temples. Not to mention, I think by the end of that, I'd like have you guys slamming your head against the wall going, no more temple, no more temple.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, but I'm already doing that.
There's some already doing that. Well done! Okay? That's ancient history.
Woo!
Woo! Alright, so. Careful. Careful.
Smart.
Nothing. So is the battery dead? No, it works.
Hold on.
Maybe search there's no buttons.
You're a no button. Aww.
Oh.
And the remote doesn't work.
Oh.
You're gonna have to use your
Technical
hands.
difficulties.
Ah,
So you're ruining my movie.
You're ruining my movie.
Just edit this bit out.
Well, that's gutting.
So what hire me to edit?
Alright, so
Ooh.
let's have
This
a
is a
look.
pretty PowerPoint, sir.
It is a Vivian, please. All my PowerPoints are pretty.
Yeah, but
Okay.
this one's pretty.
That's right.
So is that wood or marble?
That would be, judging by the fact that it's green, I would say it's probably marble with bronze over it, because bronze turns green in weather.
Ah, Statue of Liberty, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Looks like the Statue of Liberty.
Oh my god, wait, Statue of Liberty was bronze.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like, what color was it? It was a
Oh,
bronze color.
Honestly, can't remember what colour it was originally. Okay? Alright, so let's talk about politicians today and how much we love them.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
ScoMo!
ScoMo! He's our hero,
Oh
Captain
God.
ScoMo.
So it can
No.
sound like me sometimes.
Alright, so today politicians think very carefully about how they will be photographed. Think about all the campaign commercials and print ads we're bombarded with every election season. Look at how former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd attempted to portray himself in the following ad. Alright, so,
Oh, I want to see this.
assuming I can find audio.
So, but
See, we
Kevin
even
Rudd,
have ad
Kevin
breaks
Rudd is
in our
alright.
movie.
Wow.
We even have ad breaks in our movie.
Alright guys, ad break.
Great advertising.
We're gonna look at a really old Kevin Rudd ad.
Not that old.
So
So Kevin Rudd, how long ago? 10 years ago?
I can fix this.
all I
I
remember
can fix
Kevin Rudd
this.
You
was
have to
good.
press
He's
the
going to
escape button.
I can fix this!
maybe I would escape.
Shut up, Kevin.
Escape button.
Escape. Escape with an E. You know things.
There we go.
I win.
Our nation faces many new challenges, and I know for sure that the old politics and negativity just won't work. We're a nation of just 23 million. To compete, we must be a smarter nation. That's why we're investing so much into our schools. Our kids will get the individual attention they need. We did better than practically all other countries through the GFC. But now with the China mining boom receding, we need a new way to drive the economy forward. We must work with business to grow the economic pie. I want to see Australia make things the world needs, creating new jobs. We need to diversify our economy, build the new industries of the future, and not have all our eggs in one basket. I'm optimistic about Australia's future. I believe we can meet any challenge the world throws at us, but it means we need a better way, a smarter way, a new way to secure Australia's future.
And he won.
Thanks, Big Kev.
Didn't he win though?
Yes, for like many years.
2013, yeah.
You know, when I was in year 3, I persuaded the whole
No,
class.
wait, no, this is the 2013 ad. No, he didn't win this one.
No, sir. But when it was Kevin Rudd and Tony Abbott, I persuaded my entire year 3 class to vote for him, but then I realised none of us were 18.
Yeah.
None of us were
I
18.
was just about to say, I luckily they couldn't vote.
I remember the teacher got angry at me because she was voting for
They
Tony
were
Abbott.
both horrible options.
Yeah, they were
So, thinking about this, girls, okay? Think about the ad that Rudd was just in, okay? Think about the things that are shown in that. They want to show strong economy. They want to show themselves as strong leader. It's no mistake that there's children in that ad as well.
because children are cute.
Children are cute, but it's also the idea that the leaders are going to look after the children. Okay? That's the main thing that they want to convey there. That they're going to protect and also secure and look after. Okay? Augustus does a lot of the same things, and you can see children actually represented in a lot of his propaganda, just the same as it would be 2,000 years into the future. Okay? Now, these images tell us a lot about the candidate, including what they stand for and what agendas they are promoting. Similarly, Roman art was closely entwined with politics and propaganda. This is especially true of portraits of Augustus, the first emperor of the Roman Empire. Augustus invoked the power of imagery to communicate his ideology. What can we replace the word ideology with?
Like their beliefs and ideas.
Beliefs and ideas. Okay, that's fine. Whenever you see the word ideology, beliefs and ideas are what should follow it. If you're doing modern history, you'd know that ideology plays a lot into any part of history, because it usually is followed by a whole series of isms. Communism, capitalism, imperialism, colonialism.
Socialism.
Okay, socialism, blah, 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 blah. In ancient history, it is usually devoted to ancient ideologies. So obviously we're not getting things like communism here, but we are certainly getting things like imperialism here.
So can you turn off the heater?
Can we turn off the heater? Absolutely we can. Alright, so let's have a look at one of the most famous statues of Augustus in the world. Okay?
So we studied that in visual arts.
Very good.
I
Okay?
don't know anything about it still.
For those of you that didn't do it in visual arts, this is called Augustus of Prima Porta.
Wait, no, I remember it now.
Okay?
Yep.
Now I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and I want you to sort of ask these questions of yourself. Okay? And we're going to have a bigger look at it from far away, but have a look at the close-up now. And write down a couple of answers to those questions in your book. Sorry that the room is now dark, and that might be a bit difficult to say.
You're ruining my movie, man. True.
Is there something like a scepter, like
For Romans. In the ancient world, absolutely, there's things like scepters. I don't think, if memory serves, Romans were massive on the scepters until later on.
just because he's holding an arm up, and I don't know.
He's not holding a scepter.
No, he's doing this.
I was thinking
Is he still losing?
No, he's not Hitler saluting.
Hitler's salute took off the Roman salute.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
why they both do the same thing.
Oh.
Because Hitler was modelling his salute after Mussolini, who was the Italian dictator, and Mussolini modelled it off the Roman salute. Yeah.
Like
The difference is that the Nazi one goes up, the Roman one is level.
What's up with the Germans and stealing everything while they were Nazi? Like they stole the swastika from the Hindu religion and everything.
I don't know, man. Germany in like World War II, Germany was a dark place.
Wow, I never would have guessed.
I wasn't trying to say anything intellectual, I promise. Like,
One more minute.
It was 6 million.
Yeah, you lost vote.
Nobody's dumb here.
Wow.
we are intellectuals, we are
So
historians.
you've heard me speak before.
I have, and that's why I have reason to believe you're not dumb.
No.
Scott's heard me say boys roast shook is a good dinner.
I tell people about that constantly.
Alright. First one. Zeta. Who is depicted here? Very good. Okay. Augie.
Also, you should have written Augie for my movie. So you
Augie.
ruined my movie.
For the lols. Alright. What are they wearing?
Military vest with lots of nice things on it, like horses.
So military dress.
With
Now
symbols.
this one, this piece here,
Chest plate.
a chest plate, I think its proper term is a cuirass.
Cool. So they don't actually fight in it, that's just for symbolism, right?
That one they might actually fight. Oh, this one no, probably not. Okay? But they would fight in something very similar to it. Okay?
Horses and warriors.
Too bad, I wish I had visual arts today, because now I'll open my book and I'll show you my
Okay.
notes on this.
What are they doing?
This guy.
Formal pose, he's saluting. Okay, so
Salute,
formal pose.
salute, 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 salute. Au
Saluting.
français, vite, 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 vite. See, I
Okay.
remember French from you.
What are their facial features?
Sombre,
Stoic and calm.
sombre, sir. He's sombre.
Now, stoic girls, if you don't know what the word is, it's basically a word saying you're not disturbed by what's happening. You're sort of just taking it all in its turn.
Straight up lagging.
Okay?
What does the one under Stoic say? I'm too blind.
Calm.
He's also very sharp facial features.
Very sharp. Okay?
So I thought Augustus has a unibrow. Where's the unibrow here?
Ah,
Where is the monobrow?
Vivian, you thought Augustus had a monobrow, but it's not shown here. You want to guess why?
Because he's meant to be good looking.
Exactly.
He's still
Okay?
ugly.
Can't he just shave?
These girls are meant to be what is called idealized caricatures.
Or embellishing.
Which is why the Habsburgs look kind of
So,
normal.
so
Yeah.
you know they didn't show his teeth either because he had ugly teeth.
My take.
How do we
So this is
know
why they-
that he had a unibrow?
Because it was I think in one of the Suetonius readings
Looks
that we
kinda-
know he had a unibrow. Mind you, Suetonius could also be lying as well,
So
Was
they
he
use
trying
like
to
a hashtag
hug
it's you.
Huh?
possibly.
Looks kind of early.
Okay? But
Imagine dark.
the important point that we get from this, girls, hush, hush, hush. The important point that we get from this is that it's an idealized personification, okay? It's meant to show him as this sort of perfect figure. So no, they're not going to do the unibrow. They're not going to do the big old mole that he had on his nose, okay? They're not going to show him smiling like that, okay?
What?
It's going to
So
be...
do that face again. No, it's not coming up, okay.
Okay?
You're kind of in the darkness, so but okay.
It's going to be this sort of perfect picture image because it wants to show him as the image of a Roman leader. Okay?
Kind of like a strong propaganda of Britain and Russia, which are like, oh, he's strong.
Yeah.
Oh, you know they also gave him abs in this.
Yes.
They gave him like very muscular build,
He is ripped.
even though he's not.
Oh, look.
Okay.
It's because in ancient, I don't know, we did this in visual art. In ancient Rome, all statues had to be as ripped as possible because they wanted the people to think of health.
They basically they're bigger than Jason Momoa is.
Yes.
Okay? Alright, now girls,
Steroids or anything.
as
That
we
big a
go
push.
through as we go through the many artworks, okay, these are the 6 questions that you have to be asking. Can we please write down these questions? Okay? These are the ones that you need to be going and questioning for every single artwork that we look at in Monument.
These are also the questions you ask in visual arts,
Yes.
except for the
Why
intricate.
are there 6 squares but one of them is not a question?
Where? Oh,
You should be asking these questions.
My apologies, there's 5 questions.
I even wrote the 6
Yeah, I was wondering where you
questions
got
with the
the 6
subtitle and now I'm upset.
I failed you.
You did. I'm so upset. It's okay.
So do we need to leave space for them or no?
No, you don't have to leave space for it.
Okay.
But these are the things I really want you to think about when we're doing the ones in the future.
I will review my Augustus notes in art later.
Imagine having notes. Good on you.
Thank you. No, just classwork.
Inshallah, we can all get notes someday.
Inshallah.
Okay, so if I'm writing a university paper and I'm talking about a single person of unknown gender, do I use the singular they or do I use he/she?
I think that more just depends on style of writing, to be honest. I would just say they.
Yeah, so would I, but I have had many people screaming at me for using singular
It's
they.
technically grammatically incorrect.
But so, language changes.
I could also just refer to it as the person.
The individual.
Kind of like in English, how they
The
use
individual.
No, English.
Evolved.
English evolves because I remember when I was little and I used to read fairy tales. It would be like the knight slew the dragon. Now it's Beyonce slayed at her last concert. So
A depressing analysis of contemporary English.
yes. So it's true though. A lot of irregular verbs are actually the proper way to say it. I think hope used to be past tense of hope was not hoped. And
English is a weird
and there's
language.
stuff that stays like swim and swam. But as it becomes less irrelevant, that's when the ed pops in.
Canadian French is French 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
French is actually not a beautiful language. If you take all
It's
the
really not.
romanticism away from it, it sounds like a duck quacking.
It
I'm allowed to say that because I've been studying.
Yeah, but you can get German, which is their word for ambulance.
Good morning.
Is Krankenwagen.
Last modern lesson, Mrs. Smith put up this video of like the difference between German and all other languages, and it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, I know that when he's
Good
talking
Nacht.
about.
Good Nacht. So I got 2 uncles that live in Germany, and they're like, we speak English, and they just put at the end of everything. I'm like, bro, don't.
Alright, so the big questions that we should be looking at, Sunshines. Who does it depict? Who does it empower? And who does it disempower? How does it empower/disempower? What symbols are being used in it? And what is the setting? Okay? If you can answer these 5 questions, you're well on your way to sort of talking about power and image in any sort of artifact. Because remember, the idea of this entire topic is how does Augustus portray his power and image? Okay? Now, we've done a lot of background, but that was simply so we can understand what the power and image is at this final stage. Okay? So when we're looking at the Prima Porta this lesson, I want you to constantly be thinking about, at this point, power, how is displayed. Okay? Every single thing on this Prima Porta, at the statue, has been decided on very carefully and specifically. Okay? No detail here is just there for random effect. Okay? Now, let's get some basic facts about Augustus from Prima Porta. Discovered April the 20th, 1863. It is found at the villa of Lividia Drusilla, who is the 3rd wife of Augustus, in the Prima Porta suburb of Rome. Hence why we get the word Augustus of Prima Porta, because it comes from the Prima Porta suburb. Okay? It depicts Augustus Caesar Princeps, sometimes referred to as the first emperor of Rome.
It was found in 420. Sorry, I can't.
Found on 420. Fantastic work.
Why is 420 such a big
I'm
deal?
not explaining that, nor am I leaving explain.
It's the grass day, the devil's lettuce.
Mr. Frick does not want to have to edit another video.
Okay.
How do they discover it?
I was here, I'm like, what the hell?
2000, like,
So if memory serves, this one, you've got to remember that Rome as a city has been rebuilt over a couple of times. Okay? It's sort of like modern day London. You dig under London, you will find stuff from 500,000 years ago. Because effectively what they're doing is they're building on top of each other. So they can find these sort of statues basically under caved in buildings. Okay? If you go to the Forum in Rome, you will notice that the Forum is significantly below the ground level of everything else today. Okay? Because they had to dig it out. The modern day city sits a good couple of feet above the old one.
Is that because they kept building over it, or is
Yeah.
it natural?
They kept on building it over. It's partly natural, but they would have kept on building over it. It's like Troy. There was like 13 or 14 layers to Troy.
Didn't
Well,
we
the
destroy
seven.
like the first few layers?
Yeah, because, you know, lols. Yeah, but Heinrich Schliemann.
Wait, was Lol's name spelled Lowls?
I don't know.
I've made connections in my big brain.
Alright,
You just got to
To
do
a
that
game.
again.
so let's have a look at this Prima Porta. Okay?
So you've just rewritten my VA notes.
My video.
You really have, sir. Alright.
So, one of Augustus' most famous portraits is the so-called Augustus of Prima Porta, which was made presumably sometime around 20 BCE. The sculpture gets its name from the town in Italy where it was found in 1863. Okay? At first glance, this statue might appear to simply resemble a picture of Augustus as an orator and a general. What does an orator mean? Public speaker. Okay? That is big in Rome, remember? Because you haven't got televisions and things like that. So you want to be depicted as a good orator because that's a sign of skill and prestige.
You know what?
think everywhere in
Still the orators
Yeah.
now?
Yep.
Cult leaders.
Cult leaders. But this sculpture also communicates a good deal about the emperor's power and ideology. In fact, in this portrait, Augustus shows himself as a great military victor and a staunch supporter of Roman religion. Okay? Remember, he's always trying to say, I am a supporter of Roman religion. I support Roman values and I support family values. Okay? This statue also foretells the 200-year period of peace that Augustus initiated called the Pax Romana, or the Pax Romana. Okay? This statue is very complex. Okay? It's showing him as a great military leader. It's showing him as a protector of the faith. But it's also saying, I'm not just aggressive, I'm also ushering in peace. I only had those great military victories so that I could now establish the Pax Romana. Okay, a little bit of war for a long time of peace. Okay?
Wait for me, Ray.
We just got to need to reiterate the meaning of staunch to you.
There are multiple meanings.
Staunch means strong in this regard. So a staunch supporter is someone that cannot be moved in their support of something.
Because these little
So and so.
Essays.
seagulls. Yes, little essays.
Little
Were
essays.
This one and this one.
It's very interesting to see how our words get changed in the new speak. My favourite one is clout.
What did it mean before?
It's still meant the same thing.
Clout means that you have a great deal of influence.
So it
It's
means
still
the
the
same
same
thing.
thing.
Yeah, it still
It's
means
just
the
not
exact.
Its
vegan.
use is different.
Its use is different now because I used the word when I was teaching a class the other month, and they went, "Sir, why are you using like Instagram language and everything like that?" I'm like, English.
My
It's
favorite-
used to be
I
used.
was using it before Instagram came about.
My favorite is how in the US, if you have spunk, you're a
I'm not even going to
spunk
close
little
that.
lad, and then an American company made an advertising thing in Britain that said put some spunk in your drink. It went very well, as you can imagine.
Actually, so I have a book for you. It's called The Story of English. I bought it for $5. It tells the whole story. So
Imagine
That's
buying
all
books instead of.
Imagine buying books.
you don't buy
Alright.
books. Wow.
So
I don't.
Books
this
are-
is, girls,
Yeah, wherever.
the Prima Porta in its full. Okay. We have
Yeah.
Augustus.
See the angels reaching up.
Oh, he's doing a big back.
We have
Because I
Augustus
killed
standing.
Easy going.
You can see him in his military dress. He also has the small child next to him.
So that's an angel, sir.
It is
It's
a version of an angel, yes.
Okay.
So just out
Okay.
of curiosity, was Christianity around at this point?
No.
No? Okay, I got
They
my
had
entire,
Judaism
I
in
got
the
my VA
chest.
essay
Yes.
wrong. I got my VA
This
essay
is
wrong.
just before the advent of Christianity.
Okay.
Okay?
So the angel's reaching up at him because he's like a godly figure.
Yes.
So we did
Okay.
this visual art.
Now,
Him pointing suggests regalness.
in this marble freestanding sculpture, Augustus stands in a contrapposto pose, which is a relaxed pose where one leg bears weight. Okay? The emperor wears military regalia, and his right arm is outstretched, demonstrating that the emperor is addressing his troops. So it's basically meant to be capturing him mid-speech. Okay? He's basically doing a verbal gesture to the troops that he's talking to. Okay? Because as you know, nobody stands up on a speech and just locks knees and stands solid like that.
Well done.
Okay?
You are now.
They stand like
When
this.
you are doing a speech, you're trying to do it with a bit of physical poses. Okay? We immediately sense the emperor's power as the leader of the army and a military conqueror. Okay? It is meant to give this very strong impression of the emperor. Okay? Because remember, although Augustus claims legitimacy from religion and the Senate and things like that, ultimately his true power resides behind the military. If you take off all the illusions and all the facade, he's in control of the military, and that's why he's in power. Okay? Now,
Who's that?
let's have a look at continuity of art. Okay? Now, you can notice that this statue, and I'll turn off the lights so we can see it a bit better. Okay? You can see that the Augustus of Prima Porta is very similar to Greek artwork. And this is for obvious reasons. We know that the Romans and the Greeks were very closely entwined.
Best friend.
Okay? Not best friends, but culturally similar. Because the Greeks culturally influenced the Romans.
It's like us and the New Zealand.
Yeah. Okay?
Sup,
It's
man?
important to realise that this statue follows thousands of years of previous Greek sculptures and that the Romans were consummate copycats. The pose of the statue is meant to make Augustus look like an ancient Greek hero, chiselled, athletic and Olympian. Okay? This is why we were saying that they look like they've got the ripped abs. Okay? It's meant to be the ideal of human perfection.
So did abs even exist then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one
What
had
do
them.
you mean
muscle
it
structure.
exists?
There's no gyms. How do you
No,
do
no. It's actually a valid question
Training.
because
that? Oh, yeah.
the ideal male body image is almost impossible to achieve without an intense training regime that's actually quite scientific in nature.
Exactly.
So very few
You
people
gotta
would
have,
have
you
this
gotta
sort
have
of
what,
abs.
2,000 calories of carbs or something.
Yeah.
You gotta, what is it?
2,500.
Wouldn't
Yeah, that.
Wouldn't the elite be like fat because they got like more food and stuff?
So your elite could be a bit pudgier, absolutely. Not all of them.
Remember, he's a military commander.
He's a military
Training.
commander, yeah. Okay, you do raise a good point though. Now, of course, you can realise that most Greek artwork is naked, okay? Because it's an idealisation of the human form. The human form is something that is perfect, so they express every bit of it, okay?
But he still has.
Please also remember, we talked about this before, when you see genitalia, like penis, breasts, vagina, it is usually in reference to fertility symbols. And if there is basically a penis on display, they know exactly what they're doing. Okay, it is meant to represent a symbol of fertility. And basically saying that this person is good for the country because they will bear fruit, the farms will multiply, and so will children. Okay? So there's a reason for it. It's only in modern ages and with modern values that we've become very resistant to this sort of nudity in art.
Why are his hip bones so prominent? Is he dehydrated?
I would say his hip bones are prominent because they're trying to give that V effect, and maybe the artist just couldn't do it. Okay?
No, actually, these sculptures are very hard. I'm doing a little one for the art. They're very difficult. That one would easily take a few years.
Keep in mind, that sculpture was also done 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay? This is before they really even knew how to do perspective in artwork.
Exactly.
Okay?
That's why it's so important. What is this?
More on the Greek connection, okay? Delving further into the composition of the Prima Porta statue, a distinct resemblance is to the Polykletus Doryphorus, a classical Greek sculpture of the 5th century BCE, is apparent. Both have a similar contrapposo stance, and both are idealised. That is to say that both Augustus and the spear bearer are portrayed as youthful and flawless individuals. They are perfect. The one they're talking about was the one that we just had on the side then. Okay? The Romans often modelled their art on Greek predecessors. This is significant because Augustus is essentially depicting himself with the perfect body of a Greek athlete. He is youthful and virile, despite the fact that he was middle-aged at the time after the sculpture's commissioning. Alright, girls, we'll continue on with that next lesson, and we'll try and finish the Prima Porta if we don't get distracted again.
Okay, this ends today's recording. Till next lesson. Bye.